Became a community organizer, organizing all across Milwaukee County, and then I got a chance to get involved in politics. And you all may know the guy who gave me my first start, and that's our former United States Senator, Russ Feinberg. He's a great man. It's unfortunate that we got rid of the best senator and elected the worst senator of the United States. Right here. But working for Russ, I learned a lot. Fell in love with the work that I was doing. And then in 2011, I was working on the recall elections to get rid of many of the state senators that helped pass the horrible Act 10 back in 2010. And then I started working for elected officials. Started working for the Milwaukee County Board as a legislative aide. Worked there for a year and a half. And I like to tell my former boss and really good friends that I was so good she became a state senator. So I worked in the state senate for 4 years, and I eventually got bit by that bug to actually run for office. And I was our policy and outreach director during that time. And so in the spring of 2016 was the election for me, and I was running for city council in Milwaukee, and the best thing happened to me, y'all. I mean, I lost the race, but I met my wife. And my wife, as I like to refer to her, is my better three quarters. You know, we've been married, we just celebrated 10 years, and Erica has been doing great work. We have 3 daughters together. I have an 18-year-old named Alyssa. She just graduated from Milwaukee Public Schools. She'll be attending Whitewater this fall. I have a 9-year-old named Ava and a 6-year-old named Autumn. They both attend German immersion and they speak German fluently. We do a lot of Legos together because I tell them all the time, I'm raising engineers. But they are the apple of my eye. And so when I lost that race, they always say when one door closes, a window or door may open. And that's when I had the opportunity to run for the state assembly. And so I ran for the state assembly in the fall of 2016, and I won that primary with 56% of the vote. And before I was even sworn in, my colleagues at the state capitol voted me to be the chair of the Milwaukee delegation. And I was chair of the Legislative Black Caucus. And this was under the Walker administration. The one piece of legislation that I'm extremely proud of that I helped lead the charge on is the closing of Lincoln Hills during that time. Because we wanted to bring our young people back home. And then my second term, it was like the sun had came out because we had elected Governor Tony Evers. And I've had the opportunity to work with him ever since that he was the superintendent of DPI and as a governor. And then in 2019, I leaped before I looked. I decided that I was going to run for Milwaukee County Executive. It's so crazy because I still remember to this day on November 4th making my announcement. And November 5th, my youngest daughter was born. Autumn was born. She is truly an election baby. And so I won that race by 1%. I was the youngest, the first African American elected as Milwaukee County Executive. And put this in perspective, I was sworn in May 4th of 2020 at the height of the pandemic. And you can imagine that's a level of imposter syndrome when you go from having a staff of 3 in the state assembly, then you go to a staff of 3,800. But I went to work every single day making sure to not only protect our community, but to protect our workers, our essential workers. We had a chance to work with Governor Evers to make sure that we can deploy strategies to give information out and put life-saving vaccines in people's arms. And we use that to do even more incredible work. We've invested in housing first. We've invested in affordable housing, 6 different projects happening all throughout Milwaukee County. And what's unique is that they're happening in suburban communities that never had affordable housing before. And that's because we brought them to the table. There is no one-size-fits-all solution for Milwaukee County, just like there isn't one for the state of Wisconsin. And because of that work, Milwaukee County has been recognized for the past few years of having the lowest unsheltered homeless count per capita than any community in the entire country. We worked with Governor Evers to create a split with the opioid settlement funds. I worked with County Executive Paul Farrell here in Waukesha. I worked with Josh Shulman in Washington. I worked with Jonathan Delegray, the former county executive at Racine County, as well as the Allegheny County executive in Tom Nelson. And we were able to create a split where 80% of those settlement dollars came to counties. So we can deploy our strategies in real time. And because of the investments we've made in Milwaukee County, we've reduced overdose deaths by 40% in just 4 short years. together to make sure that every community got a bump in shared revenue, because I believe that when we all do better, we all do better. And when we were able to get that extra revenue within Milwaukee County, we also delivered the largest property tax cut in Milwaukee County history. We have been doing great work. And back at home, I want to be honest, people say, David, you've done great work here. Why in the world would you want to run for governor? Well, I want to be honest. I'm frustrated just like each and every single one of you that's in this room. I'm frustrated with Republicans. I'm absolutely frustrated with who's in the White House. But I'm also frustrated with Democrats. I believe we have been fighting back. But I don't think we've communicated what exactly we're fighting for. What the mission and the vision is that we need, not just for the state of Wisconsin, but for this entire country. Because all we have been doing is responding and reacting to Donald Trump and the Republican Party. And if we keep doing that, guess who's defining us for us? They are. And so as I was watching the World Cup and I'm watching all the Brewer games, I realized that we've been playing defense for so long, we don't even know how to play offense. And we have to get back on offense. And we do that by focusing on policies that's going to bring people to the table. I was told as an organizer, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're on the menu. And many of our public school districts have been on the menu. Our farmers have been on the menu. Our rural communities, our young people, our older adults have been on the menu. Because we have not allowed them to lend their own voices to the solutions that will work for them in their communities. And that's where this election changes. It's time that we not just elect a governor to keep the governorship blue, but we need to make sure that we keep Josh Carr, that we elect a Democratic Secretary of State and Treasurer. But more importantly, all the policies that I'm focusing on, that I'm going to get ready to rattle off, don't become a reality unless we flip the state Senate, unless we flip the state assembly. Doing that without the ticket absolutely matters. It absolutely matters. So when I think about what we need to be focusing on, I always think about my children. First and foremost, we need to make sure that everybody has access to affordable child care throughout the state of Wisconsin. I believe that every child under the age of 5 deserves to have a subsidized line. That we can cap its child care expenses at 7% of the household income, and that we can make pre-K free for every child across Wisconsin. Because by doing so, we actually create a better foundation of learning for our children before they go into the public education system. But we have to make sure that our public schools have all the resources that they need. The state of Wisconsin broke their promise. They've forgotten about our children. And so we need to go back to the 2/3 funding formula and increase the reimbursement rates to 90%. One, that will naturally ease the property tax pressures we've all been feeling because we've had to go to referendum after referendum just to make sure our children have access to resources. And we have school districts who have to make decisions whether or not they're going to follow state mandated programs or keep teachers or have student enrichment programs. We can't continue to allow that to happen. But that also means that we have to have a healthy community. Now for me, health is not just mental and physical. Money in your pocket is health. Affordable housing is health. Public transportation, a clean environment, all these things contribute to our individual and to our societal health. I want us measuring our health based on us getting healthier, not because other communities are getting sicker. And that means that we have to expand badger care across the state of Wisconsin. We will double eligibility. We will create a sliding scale premium so farmers, gig workers, students, older adults, they'll have an alternative to for-profit insurance. It'll allow us to create even more comprehensive care, making sure that mental, dental, vision, and physical is all taken care of. But that also means that we have to increase the reimbursement rates. There are too many home health care workers, too many family caregivers who don't make enough money to take care of themselves while they're taking care of our most vulnerable populations. And by increasing the reimbursement rates, we incentivize providers to actually be a part of the network, helping out our brothers and sisters in rural Wisconsin so they never have to travel an hour or 2 or 3 just to be able to see a provider. We have to expand badger care because We need healthy people. And by focusing on more prevention, we'll be able to save a lot more money because emergency and crisis care is the most expensive care we have in this community. But we have to make sure that we can afford it. We need to repeal right to work and Act 10 to make sure that people can come to the collective bargaining table to negotiate their wages, to negotiate their benefits, to make sure that we continue to have safe working conditions. Our unions don't just support their members, they support workers all across this state. And we have to raise the minimum wage to $20 an hour. But we also have to protect ourselves. We know that there are data centers already in our community. And there are some people that will say that we need a moratorium. Now, I think that's a short-term fix, but it doesn't address our long-term concerns. These data centers, they need to pay their own way, y'all. They need to pay for their electricity. They need to pay for any infrastructure or grid upgrades. And I call it the Beyonce approach. Now, you may be wondering what the heck Beyonce has to do with data centers. What's the acronym? It means bring your own new clean energy. They should be building their own wind and solar farms and battery storage, not placing it on the backs of working class families here in the state of Wisconsin. We should be protecting our environment, protecting everything that we can. And if you ask me, we should be trying to extract as much as possible from these data centers instead of them extracting as much from our natural resources here. Folks will say, well, we don't want them here. They can go anywhere else. Yes, they can go to Minnesota. They can go to Michigan. They can go to Illinois. But I don't know about you, but our clean air and water does not stop at the borders of the state of Wisconsin. We have to make sure that we are protecting ourselves from what's currently here and show other communities across this country how they can do the same. But if we're going to have them here, and if we want them here, we need to make sure that we're putting parameters around the construction, protecting our environment, protecting the people, protecting the land, but also protecting the workers. I want to see prevailing wages. I want to see project labor agreements. I want to see a community benefit agreement across the entire state, not just in the communities that they're in, because we're all going to be affected. How can we leverage it for our small businesses, for our public schools, for our entrepreneurs, for the legacy industries here to make sure that we're maximizing the capacity? Because we can't get rid of the ones that are already here. So let's figure out how we can benefit from it. And then last but certainly not least, I just want to say thank you. Because you all are the unsung heroes in this room. People like me, people like Alicia, we don't exist if it's not for you knocking on doors, making phone calls, using your time, talent, and treasure to elect Democrats up and down the ticket. And that's what I'm asking from you today. I'm asking for your time. We need as many volunteers as possible, knocking on doors, making phone calls, bringing awareness to this election, because there's so much at stake, y'all. That's why I came back into this election. I know that I'm the best candidate to defeat Tom Tiffany in November. I know it. With your 3 T's, let me finish the rest of the T's because I only talked about time. The talent. Some of you may be able to use your talent. You may be able to sing, dance, do graphic designing. I can't do none of those things, but how do you bring your awareness to what is going on in this campaign? And last but certainly not least, we need treasure. What I've realized running this campaign is that we need public campaign finances in the state of Wisconsin. We have too much money in politics throughout this entire country. And when I think about the last 2 state Supreme Court races where we spent close to $200 million combined, we could be solving the very issues that we're running on today. And so I am asking you to give your 3 T's so I can defeat T3. And if you don't know who T3 is, people have heard me talk about it, but that's Tom Terrible Tiffany. But he is not going to do anything for this state. He will only carry the water of this current president and never carry the concerns of those that he represents. We cannot afford having a MAGA extremist occupying this office. This is not about us uniting about being against something. It's about uniting us to be for something. And it's about making sure we do exactly what our state motto says we need to do. And that's move forward. So I don't know about you, but I'm fired up and I'm ready to go. I bring my own brother wherever I go. people that we're good at governing and make sure that we keep the state of Wisconsin blue, not just for the next 4 years, but for the next 8 or 12. Because when that pendulum swings back, my job is to make sure it stays stuck for a while. So let's get to work, Wisconsin.